If only she had picked up the beans. Blinking away the tears, Bandit looked up. Her eyes met the matriarch's. No one spoke. Bandit looked around, searching for a friendly face among the women. No one smiled, not even Mother. "Granddaughter, today is one of the saddest days in my long life, in all our lives. You, my 6th grandchild, must go away, far away." "No, how can I?" Bandit thought. "I am too young. Who will take care of me?" A tear fell, then another. "Grandmother," she begged, "let me have another chance. I will be careful. I will never, ever, as long as I live, break another thing during the holidays, I promise. Please don't send me away." "What are you talking about? I am not sending you away. You are going away because your father has sent for you and your mother. He has decided not to return to Chungking. He plans to make America his home. Your grandfather has agreed." The letter! No wonder Mother had smiled. Grandmother had cried, and Grandfather had been so angry. "Oh, Father," she thought, "at long last we'll be together again." Bandit could not help smiling. She was brimful of happiness. But then she saw the sadness on Grandmother's face and ran to comfort her. Boom! Bandit fell. True to his word, Precious Coins had not let go of her leg. Then all the women of the House of Wong gathered around to fuss over her. "Oh, you poor thing," they cried. "What's to become of you? Exiled like a criminal to a distant land, with no clans to nurture you, surrounded by strangers. Strangers who aren't even Chinese. And those cowboys and Indians. What kind of place is that for a child to grow up in, dodging bullets and arrows? You'll starve. Imagine eating nothing but warm puppies and raw meat. How will you become civilized? America does not honor Confucius. America is foreign, so foreign." On and on they went, wailing like paid mourners at a funeral. But Bandit was not afraid. She had faith in her father. Nothing awful will happen, she told herself. No bad luck. The year of the boar would bring travel, adventure, and double happiness. The final day of the year of the dog lasted until dawn. No one slept, not even Precious Coins, for tradition had long decreed that a bad dream on any New Year's Eve was an omen of bad tomorrows. To make sure no one had a nightmare, all the beds in the House of Wong stood empty until the skies were lit by the dawn and the danger passed. The lofty hall of ancestors was festooned with holiday banners and graced with clansmen from near and far. They formed clusters of color like the glass pieces in a kaleidoscope. Everyone's gown was of bright silk or brocade, and many were embroidered with gold and silver threads and lined in fur or stitched with sequins and pearls. A few gowns, like Bandit's, betrayed the 12-course dinner the clansmen had consumed earlier. It did not matter. At the New Year's feast no one ever scolded, even if a barbarian should wash his face in the soup. A few faces, like Bandit's, could use a washing, even in soup. They were streaked with ash, for they had leaned too close to the sizzle of firecrackers. But even so, no cross words. On New Year's Eve, exceptions were the rule. Gamblers seated at a dozen tables chatted and cheered as they vied at mahjong, cards, and rhyming couplets, while would-be singing warriors and courtesans tagged after the tunes the musicians played, and the servants, spinning like tops, circled the floor with drinks and delicacies. At each stop they collected a generous tip. Near daybreak of New Year's Day, even Third Uncle forgot himself. Before the altar, which was laden with offerings for the ancestors, Grandfather sat, telling stories to the very old and the very young. Many in his audience were fighting sleep. Their stomachs were filled with sweets, their pockets with red envelopes containing money from the elders, their heads with stories of monkey kings and fox fairies, noble ministers and celestial fools, loyal sons, forgetful magpies, the weaving maid who lived on the far side of the river of stars. No wonder they drooped. Not Bandit. She was wide awake, sitting cross-legged, holding hands with grand-grand-uncle and his wife of 60 years who, for as long as Bandit could recall, had refused to address her husband. Both the old artist and the former beauty had long forgotten his misdeed. The date of it, however, was enshrined in memory and dubbed Foul Friday. Perhaps, in the beginning, the wife might have relented. Then it became unthinkable. Now, in his old age, grand-grand-uncle delighted in painting grand-grand-auntie's portrait, sometimes with warts, sometimes with big feet or donkey grins, always fanciful. Bandit thought each picture worth 10,000 laughs. Secretly she collected them, whispering to grand-grand-auntie that she did so on her behalf. Thus both artist and subject adored her. Thus Bandit had become their official go-between. And so, finally, the worthy peasant could sleep peacefully in his grave. Everyone applauded. Glancing up at the feuding husband and wife, Bandit saw tears in their eyes. If only, she thought, if only they could be friends again before I go away. Then they will not need a go-between. For the first time, Bandit felt a little bit sad to be going away. Grandfather tapped his pipe on the arm of his chair, calling for attention. Suddenly the hall was still. "It is almost time to go to bed, my clansmen. But before we can, there is something we must do. Sixth cousin, rise and come to my side." Bandit jumped to her feet and obeyed. Grandfather was the patriarch of the clan, even more powerful than grandmother. Everyone was now looking her way. Bandit blushed. "Now, now, my child," Grandfather said with a smile, "since when have you become so shy?" Everyone laughed, the cousins the loudest. Tapping his pipe again, Grandfather continued, "As you know, my youngest son's wife and daughter will be leaving us this week. There will still be time enough to say a proper goodbye, but we must not send sixth cousin away without giving her an official name. Bandit will not do, will it?" "No," shouted the House of Wong. "So tell me, my child, do you have a preference?" "I, Grandfather?" "Who else?" Bandit looked to the rafters, as if a hint might be hidden there. Everyone waited quietly. Finally she replied, "Grandfather, since I am going to America, I would like an American name." Some nodded approval. Others shook their heads. An American name? Grandfather stroked his white beard. Then he said, "American name it is." Now everyone nodded approval. Bandit clapped. Fourth cousin did too. "My dearest friend," Bandit thought, "I wish you were going with us." Again she felt sad. "Any suggestions, my child?" Grandfather asked. She had not been prepared for that. Everyone knew she did not speak English, but if she admitted it now, everyone would enjoy a big laugh just the same. She looked at the rafters again. "I must know an American name," she thought. "I must." Suddenly, one came to her. "How about Uncle Sam?" she shouted. All laughed until some cried. Bandit felt that her face was as red as a fried lobster. Grandfather came to her rescue. "I myself do not care for the sound of it. How about something more melodious?" Think. She must know another American name. Then it came to her. Yes, that was it. Everyone loved her movies. She was just about the most famous movie star in all the world. Shirley Temple. For a minute no one moved. Then Grandfather applauded. Then so did everyone else. Grandfather tapped his pipe once more, calling the clansmen to order. Straightening his back, he pronounced the official words. "I, as patriarch, do hereby advise my clansmen that my sixth grandchild, the 33rd member of the House of Wong, now living under the ancestral roofs, and one of the 39th generation registered in the clan book, will now be